My brother tells a story of a little boy racing around the house while his mother was getting ready to serve guests dinner. He was making a mess here and he was making a mess there, and then the boy, rushing on his way out of the house, ran past a beautifully set dining room table. His belt buckle caught a hold of the lace tablecloth and everything on the table flew off and crashed to the floor. The mother just about lost it. She chased her son out the door and watched him climb underneath the porch. She was just about ready to chase after him and she realized the guests were about to arrive any time. She decided to let her husband deal with it. When the husband came home, he heard all about what the boy had done, the yanking of the tablecloth and so on, and how he better go out there and have a talk with his son. The father went out and got down on his hands and knees and started crawling under the porch. Way in the back of the porch, he saw these two eyes, little eyes staring at him. He kept crawling toward his son, and then he heard his son say, "Is she after you too?" You know, mothers and many others are known for the qualities of love and peace, two values that the world don't always practice, as we know. But in a world where divisions and differences are common, there are still innate values that hold much of the world together. One researcher at Syracuse University, a man by the name of Jonathan Haidt, said that there are in fact 6 innate values that exist that exist among humans of all races and culture, no matter the religion, no matter the race, no matter the political persuasion, as reported by Arthur Brooks in the book called Love Your Enemies. They are fairness, care for others, respect for authority, loyalty to one's group, purity and sanctity, and liberty. And within all of this lies the virtues of love and peace. The sermon title, Love and Peace Conquers All, is hardly an exaggeration. If one lives his or her life in peace and in love, there becomes no greater fulfillment. Hundreds of thousands of poems and songs have been written as a testament to the words in the sermon title. Cat Stevens sang about peace in Peace Train. Oh, peace train sounding louder, glide on the peace train. Come on now, peace train, cause out of the edge of darkness there rides a peace train. Oh, peace train, take this country, come take me home again. Or so did Eddie Money sing the song, Peace in Our Time. We're going to build heaven on earth. We're running in the wheels of fortune, turning water into wine. We're going to take love and we're going to make it shine. We're going to find peace in our time. The words hanging from the side of a barn along I-70 between here and Topeka say it all. No God, no peace. No God, no peace. Got it. And it was with what Jesus was all about in his ministry. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world gives, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Paul writes in his letter to the Ephesians, he himself is our peace, who made both groups into one and broke down the barrier of the dividing wall. Paul also wrote in Romans, since we are justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Peace, as we know, is a concept at which the world has been working at for centuries, but obviously has never come close to fully achieving. There seems to be nothing more elusive than a generation that has actually known or actually witnessed or actually experienced universal peace. There are many in the world, as we know, who work for it, and there are many in the world, as we know, who resist it. And in some, we know, there is a hunger for drawing battle lines that throw up enormous roadblocks to peace on earth. Ancient wrongs remembered. Many lives, many live with generations of hostility toward different races and different cultures and different nationalities, unable to shake the prejudices that stiff-arm any prospect for peace. But when we come right down to it, if we, all of us, practice, as we know, the simple tenets of the Sermon on the Mount, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. If one forces you to go 1 mile, go 2 miles instead. No more eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. No more looking down on others. Think of how much more peace would have a chance. And it all starts at home. I just started to read former NFL quarterback Joe Namath recently released autobiography. He talks about his parents emigrating from Hungary to start a new life for themselves in a western Pennsylvania town called Beaver Falls. Joe Namath said that his side of town consisted of white, black, Jewish, Hungarian, but it didn't matter to him. He said that some people are biased, some people don't even like the way you walk, some people don't like the color of another person's skin. But he commented that he had the outside the school education that became instinct, that he cherishes to this day, and adding that growing up on the lower end of this steel mill town, he had been taught to stand up for what he knew to be right. And what is right, we know, is to build bridges and not barriers. Many mothers teach us to stand up for what is right so that peace will have a chance in the home and in the neighborhoods. Mothers are encouraging everybody to get along, have set the model for how the world is to operate. How many times did you hear your mother say, you guys just have to work it out, figure out a solution? Mothers also practice the virtue of love found in the familiar 1 Corinthians 13 chapter on love. Love is patient and kind. It is not jealous or boastful. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at the wrong. It does not rejoice. It rejoices in the right. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. In his novel, Captain Corelli's Mandolin, Louis C. Bernierius described what truly mattered to the protagonist in the end. He's talking to his daughter about his love and admiration that he has for his late wife. He says, love itself is what is left over when being in love has burned away. And this is both an art and a fortunate accident. Your mother and I, we had it. We had roots that grew towards each other underground. And when all the pretty blossoms had fallen from our branches, we found that we were one tree and not two. Love bears all things. Love believes all things. Surgeon and professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School, Aul Gawande, tells the story of an episode with his own parents in his book, Being Mortal, a book that my daughter gave me at Christmas. I'm not sure what she was trying to tell me. If Dr. Gawande's in it, Dr. Gawande's father had gotten out of bed one night, but fell on his way to where he was going. But when he tried to get back up, his legs wouldn't hold him, so he went back down. His wife tried to lift him up, but he was too heavy for her. He didn't want to call an ambulance, so they decided to wait until morning for help. His wife, though, pulled blankets and pillows off the bed for him and lay down beside him, not wanting him to be alone. But with her bad arthritic knees, she couldn't get up either. So they just laid there together. Early in the morning, the housekeeper arrived and found them both lying together on the floor, and she helped the mother to her feet and the father to his bed. You know, no matter what chapter of life you find yourself, at the beginning or in the middle or in the twilight, there's hardly anything more beautiful than the love shared between two people. As the marital vows say, in plenty and in want, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health. And when it comes to peace, Jesus and all that he did demonstrated a peace that passes all understanding, as was written in the book of Philippians, because his command was to seek peace in all the things that will give you lasting peace, not temporary peace, but permanent peace. Therefore, look for peace in Jesus, and you will have then found what you have been looking for. Reverend Billy Graham wrote years ago, perhaps you are searching for peace and you are wanting it and you are longing for it. You thought you'd find it if you made a lot of money, but you didn't find it. You thought you would find it through drink, but you didn't find it. You thought you would find it in getting and accumulating vast knowledge, but you didn't find it. You searched the religions of the world, but you still haven't found peace. There are 1,000 ways that you have turned to trying to find peace in your life, but you have not found it. You may escape from reality for a few moments, for a few hours, but the old burden comes back. The old suffering, the old emptiness, the old monotony, the old grind returns. Isn't it true that one can spend a lot of time in life barking up the wrong trees in the pursuit of peace? One thinks he will find it, perhaps in his job or in his work, but it's not there. One thinks that she will find it in travel or a big trip or leisure, but she is always has to return home. One thinks she will find it in her retirement, but it's not there. One thinks he will find it in his friends, but his friends disappoint. Until one has discovered Jesus Christ, one will not find the peace that passes all understanding. As mothers have passed along the virtues of love and compassion as a way of telling us how to live with one another, so has Jesus told us that the surest path to peace is to discover purpose in him. Peace I leave with you again. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, give I unto you. At the church I served in St. Paul, Minnesota, shared a story years ago. Different vantage point. There was a saintly-like woman who most people refer to as Auntie. Joy was her last name. Auntie Joy. It fit her perfectly. She had a lot of joy. She was full of ideas. She was also full of love. She traveled with the founders of the Mayo Clinic, Will and Charles Mayo, for the opening of the Panama Canal. New worlds were always opening up for Auntie, but never did she miss the Sermon on the Mount memorization class that she sponsored every year for the church's mid-high students, hoping and praying that the lessons of these 3 chapters in the Gospel of Matthew would remain with them forever. You know those ones, the ones about becoming peacemakers, the ones about reaching out to your enemies, the ones about being non-judgmental, the ones about showing mercy, the ones about giving to the poor, respecting others the way you would wish to be respected. But she said about the Bible text, the Sermon on the Mount, that she considered to be the most sacred of all in the scriptures. She said, the Sermon on the Mount was spoken by the only one who knew both worlds, where we are now and where we are going. The words tell us how to live in strength. The words tell us how to live in peace and delight in his world under the supreme ruler, Jesus Christ. Then we have discovered life when Jesus' love and peace conquer all. Author and columnist David Brooks writes about when the young Russian writer and Christian revolutionary Fyodor Dostoevsky and others were imprisoned in St. Petersburg in 1849 and sentenced to die. The men were marched out into the square with their burial shrouds. The firing squad gathered. The drums sounded. Death was seconds away. Then at that instant, a messenger arrived on horseback. The execution was to be stayed by the order of the Tsar. The original sentences, though, would stand. hard labor. One man broke down crying and said, "Long live the Tsar." Another man went mad. But Dostoevsky, taken back to his cell, was suddenly overcome and overwhelmed with joy. "I cannot recall," he said, "when I was ever as happy as on that day. Never has there seethed in me such an abundant and healthy kind of spiritual life as now. I walked up and down my cell and I sang the entire time. So happy at being given back life. Life is a gift," he said. Life is happiness. Life is everywhere. Life is in ourselves. Dostoevsky's love for life paralleled his moments of perfect peace he said that he had. The times he loved and believed that he was truly loved by God. He said, in such moments, those moments when I knew I was loved by God, I felt peace and I felt a sense of calm. It's those moments I formulated my creed, wherein all is clear and holy to me. And so it is. It is the love and peace of Jesus Christ that creates the perfect peace.